40-34, the final score from Jacksonville, Florida. The Cowboys fall to 10-4 on the road with an overtime loss against the Jaguars. Kyle Yeoman's back here with Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, and Nate Newton. But before we hear from those guys, let's go back out to TIAA Bank Field and hear from head coach Mike McCarthy.
Okay, questions please, David.
Mike, David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Can you start with what you saw on the pick six at the end, just what the play call was and how it developed?
Yeah, I mean that's always a conversion play and you know, scramble and you know, an unlucky bounce for us. Great, hell of a play by them.
What's your frustration level given you had a 17-4 lead?
I mean, hey, I mean we knew coming in here they were playing extremely well. You know, we identified it all week. You know, I thought the players had a good week of preparation. And you know, that's a talented team, and you know, I think Doug does an excellent job. But you know, I mean, the numbers, you know, and the things that we didn't do so well. But it was a knockdowns. You know, you could just feel the game the way it was going. You know, and that's, you know, particularly when we kicked the 2 field goals. You know, we just needed to keep getting touchdowns. You know, we had a number of injuries on defense. You know, I really felt our young guys did a hell of a job stepping in there. You know, because we had a lot of guys going in and out. So definitely disappointed. You know, and it just as I told them in the locker room, when you look at this game in Green Bay, you know, you lose 2 overtime games, but we've put a tremendous amount of work into end of game situations in this phase, in this situation. And I'm just a huge believer you just got to keep working, stay after it. They know the investment that they've made really the last 2 years. I mean, after my first year, that's, you know, clearly was something that we need to improve on. And so I'm disappointed, but in the same breath, you know, we got a crazy schedule here that, you know, not crazy, we got a different schedule we're dealing with, and so we'll take a look at it here on the buses, on the planes, and well, when we touch down, we got to turn the page.
Mike, Newy Scruggs, NBC5 Dallas. Can you take me through the thought process when you threw deep to Noah Brown, ended up stopping the clock, and they did not have to use a timeout?
Well, they had a timeout there, so I mean, you know, your decision there is, you know, offensively, you know, play it conservative and run the ball to take the time off the, you know, or you try to end the game. So I mean, it's a pretty simple decision, you know. And when it converts, it's a great call. When it doesn't, you get criticized for it.
Cal.
Sorry, Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How concerned are you with your secondary right now?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I'm more concerned with the health of our team. I mean, we've had a rough stretch here the last 3 games. You know, we've lost a number of starters, and you know, but you know, our guys are jumping in there, and you know, the things I pay close attention to is the communication and the interaction, and you know, and Dan was able to still, you know, have, you know, enough calls to stay competitive. You know, we're in a bunch of situational calls in the 4th quarter and so forth, and you know, have your young guys in there on that. So, you know, that shows that where they are in their development. But you know, let's be honest, we've had a little bit of an injury cycle here. You know, this is for our 3rd game in a row, and you know, hopefully this is you know, we come out of this, we'll see how when we get back. So, and then obviously we got one here on Saturday coming up quickly.
Michael Upton, Dallas Morning News. You guys won't be getting any help here at cornerback. Where do you guys go from here at that outside corner in the defense?
I mean, Michael, I get, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not really there right now. You know, to be honest, my next conversation will be the training room. So I just want to sit and see how we came out of this game.
Coach Bruce Hope, Florida Star newspaper. Was there any overlooking this Jaguars team? You got some big ones coming up. You guys are really fighting for your division.
Not at all. I mean, I think, you know, this is my 29th, you know, year in this league. You don't overlook any game. So when we have conversations about don't take the cheese, it's really for the younger players and just to stay focused based on the questions they have to answer that are going to be different than they normally answer. So we spent a lot of time on the film, and you know, game plan. Like I said, I thought we had a good week of practice. So, but there's an uncommon opponent. You know, these guys haven't played against each other before, so I thought our guys put the time in, and you know, it was a hell of a football game, and we came on the wrong side.
Okay. Mike, you said before that even though you were still chasing Philly, you controlled your own destiny in a lot of ways because you knew what was ahead of you. Is if discouragement at all is if this one kind of takes that out of your hands now and you got to.
See, David, I'm not wired that way because I expect to win every day. I mean, that's just something I was, that's the way I was as a kid too. So I'm just on to the next one, and I've been at this long enough to know that at the end of 17 games, it sorts itself out. And I've been the 1 seed and been knocked down my ass, and and won it from the 5th seed. So I mean, I'm not, like I said, we're not supposed to talk about that till we get to 11 wins, and we're not there yet. So, but we just got to keep our head down, keep working, and we'll react properly to this. It's a very accountable locker room. I love this. I love this bunch. They do it the right way. So we'll just stay after it, and we'll definitely come out of this.
The run defense took a step back today.
Yeah.
Outside contains some of those perimeter type runs. Is that just the injuries showing up, or do you think that regression or something else?
Yeah, I just know obviously had some contained challenges, so that'll obviously be a focus, and obviously we have to be on top of it as we get ready for the next one. But yeah, the run defense definitely wasn't what it needed to be today.
Right, so before we start over, how do you explain Dak's aggressive interception? I know they're all on his fault, but they seem to be coming.
Yeah, I think that the thing is, it's you have in the pocket and you have out of the pocket quarterback play, and just it goes this way sometimes. I don't know if he could have played much better in the first half, and actually, you take away 2 throws, and they all count. So I'm not that kind of guy that doesn't count them all. But I thought he played at a really high level today. So. But the two interceptions definitely, factored in the points for Jacksonville. So, we'll just keep working, keep plugging. I'm not going to sit here and just keep diving into it. I get the reason, the question, and all that, but he's trying to do it the right way. That's for sure.
Got it.
You can hear the frustration there from Mike McCarthy following the 40-34 loss to Jacksonville. Back here with Barry Church and Nate Newton. Dak Prescott, we'll hear from him in the next segment, so we won't dive too far into that. But we do want to talk about the defensive side of the football. Most points allowed this season. They gave up 34 in regulation. Of course, the overtime points, the 6 points at OT, was off of a pick 6. But Barry, or I'll start with you, Nate. We'll let Barry kind of back in this on the corners. Young defensive backs tested like they were today against this Jacksonville team. What did you think about Kelvin Joseph and DaRon Bland? Bland did it up with a pick, but Kelvin Joseph gave up 2 touchdowns.
See, early in the game, and they don't have a book on you. They don't know what they're looking at. You jumping routes, you're doing well. We had pressure in the first half from the front of our defense, but as the game went on, these guys started getting tested. The coach started figuring it out. The offensive coordinator said, "Oh, this move here, he's looking in the backfield, coach. That's double moving. Take him deep." Now Bland been playing like a veteran since day one, and he's doing it. But Joseph, Nashawn Wright, these guys, they're still learning. They haven't had the live reps like the other guys have. But if they can just start believing in the defense, believing in their techniques, they can grow.
Yeah, when it comes to these young defensive backs, they have to find an answer. They have to find an answer because right now it was supposed to be Kelvin Joseph who was able to step in there for Anthony Brown with his injury going on out there. But when he stepped in there, you just saw it kind of seemed like he was lost. Every time he steps in and gets a lengthy opportunity at the cornerback position, he's giving up a touchdown pass or some type of deep ball. And today was nothing new. Another 2-touchdown day on Kelvin Joseph. And when I look out there, it's not the physical attributes because he can run with anybody. He's fast, he's strong, he's physical. It's the technique out there. And I don't know if he's not coachable or whatever is going on, but you see in these instances, eyes in the wrong place, double move. Going up to get in the high point, he's letting receivers just take it right off the top of his head. We've got to figure out a way to get this guy going in the right direction because the depth behind him with the injuries to Jordan Lewis and Anthony Brown, it ain't much better. So they got to find a solution when you're talking about this defensive back group.
And it was a lesson learned from Kelvin Joseph specifically, but from your experience, as a young cornerback, Jacksonville went after Kelvin Joseph. They targeted him. How does a mindset change as a DB whenever you know they are targeting you and they're coming after you?
Some of the best defensive backs, especially corners that I've ever been around, they had that short-term memory. You're going to get beat when you're out there at the cornerback position. You're on an island. It's a given. Those guys, those wide receivers, they're good. They get paid as well, too. So you got to have that short-term memory. But when you let it snowball like that, when you give up a deep ball and you start to wear down on yourself, you see that body language, it just goes further and further down the hole. You got to have a short-term memory out there. Wipe this off, wipe this game in the past, and hopefully come back and have a great week of practice and get ready for Philadelphia.
Yeah, that short-term memory certainly certainly a key in the game of football, especially for a quarterback too. And Dak Prescott normally has that short-term memory, but recently those interceptions have been compounding. When we come back, we hear from Dak after the loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 40-34 the final score. We'll be back with more OT right after this. Back here on Cowboys OT, nearly a perfect first half for Dak Prescott. Not so much in the second half. 2 interceptions thrown. Here's what he had to say following the loss to Jacksonville.
David Moore, Dallas Morning News. You started with the interception in overtime, what happened there, and then also the one late in the second half. Both of those.
Yeah, late in the second half, was trying to throw it to Dalton and kind of got grabbed from the back at the same time as I was throwing. The ball just came out of my hand, obviously high. Yeah, unfortunate. And then in overtime, crossing route, was throwing it low on purpose and just wasn't able to make the play and the connection between us two. And obviously tips up and guy makes a great catch right there above the ground and ends the game.
Clarence, before starts all around, you were almost perfect in the first half. How do you explain the offense between the first half and the second half with the lull in the third quarter?
Yeah, I mean, that's the tough spot, especially when the third quarter this season has been where we've come out. We've come out hot after making adjustments. And so for tonight, that'd be to be our lull and obviously have the turnover and have some stall outs, some 3-and-outs, and don't get it going. It's tough, but it's hard for me to give you that answer right now. Haven't watched film. Got to go back and do that and go from there.
Ed Werder, ESPN. Dak, you talked all week about eliminating the interception, how frustrated you were by him. How much you feel now, given the consequences of the last one?
Yeah, I mean, frustration grows, obviously. To end the game on a pick six, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's frustrating. And not only that, as I said, the first one, yeah, I mean, I just got to not even try to throw the ball right there. Feel the guy grab me and just tuck the ball and take the sack and just move on to the next play. And that's that balance. And obviously, I'll learn from it and tuck it next time. So it's tough. It's tough treading that line, trying to make a play, trying to be aggressive, and at the same time, not putting the ball at risk. So, yeah.
Calvin Watkins, in the regulation and third down, just your thought process of what you saw there on that incompletion down the sideline?
Yeah, I mean, it was a one-on-one. Obviously, we had a crossing route with CD. They put 2 to 3 guys on him, and 31 was pretty much just off the whole time, and I just tried to throw it deep and give Noah a chance.
Dak Tyler for the ESPN. Does this change at all feelings going into Philadelphia week, or how does it alter it?
Honestly, it doesn't. Obviously, it sucks losing to start there, but if we had won that game right there on the field goal, I don't think that necessarily changes the low in the third quarter, the bad things that happened in this game. Yeah, so we've got to move on, just like any other week. I mean, it's not like I don't know what happened with Philly. Guessing they won. Yeah, so I mean, it's not like that puts us in a better position or not. So it's about, at this point, building, trying to get better, trying to clean up our mistakes, learn from our mistakes, and make sure that we're just carrying momentum heading into week after week as we move forward to get into this postseason.
Louis Scruggs, NBC5, Dak, the first interception, they got a touchdown out, and then obviously the second they scored. Do you do you put this on you in terms of this game being on? I mean, how do you internalize it?
Yeah, I mean, I take every loss on the chin. I think that's my job as a quarterback, to put us in positions to win and eliminate the mistakes and the potential chances to allow them to score after turnover. So, and that's what's frustrating about it, whether it's a tip ball, whether it's a unfortunate interception, whatever it is. They all suck. And at the end of the day, I've got to do a better job, and that's where it is when I say I take them on the chin, that's why I'm also trying to make those plays, to make those plays to put us in a better chance, put us in better field position and give us a better chance to win. So, it's tough. It's tough when you lose second overtime game this year. I was 0-2 in overtime this year, and wanting to be in those positions, have the ball in my hand, and when it ends up like that, it sucks. It's a feeling that I don't like, and I've got to learn from it and do better, put the ball in better positions, and be smarter with it.
So last week it was a game-winning drive for Dak Prescott and the Dallas offense. This week, not so much, an interception, actually a pick six that ends the game in overtime. Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, and we've talked about Dak already and some of the decision-making that led to those interceptions, but let's talk about the pressure that led there too. And I'm not talking about mental side of things. I'm talking physical pressure because of the offensive line. Tyron Smith was back into the fold. You had Terrence Steele out for the season. Nate, when you looked at this offensive line, what went wrong up front?
In the first half, they was spot on. They was running the ball. They was making things happen. They was taking advantage of the red zone. But in the second half, they figured out a way, and I'm talking about Jacksonville defense, they figured out a way to get some chinks into the armor. We started rotating guys, and we did a little bit in the first half, but we started really doing it in the second half because Peterson, our right tackle, got hurt, one of the rotating guys, and now you start playing those musical chairs. I don't like it. I never will, because I think that you should get five guys and you roll with them so they can build some type of continuity. So when things does get hot and heavy and they start doing games and stunts and everything, everybody's on the same page. I just think it's something to that. You can pick whoever you want at whatever position, but make sure they're in there every game. And I think that Tyron Smith could have went a whole lot of snaps if they would have let him.
Hey, listen, y'all just heard from the godfather of the offensive line right here. He just told you what it is. Listen, Philbin, I understand that you've been a guru trying to figure things out over these past few years. You've done an immaculate job of mixing and mingling whatever you've been given out over these past years with the personnel. But today, you had a healthy Tyron Smith. And today, you decided to work him into it. This is a grown man who's been playing football at a high level for a very long time. If you're going to, and from my perspective, if you're going to try to protect somebody, just put him on the sideline. Don't slow roll him into the game. That's not how his position rolls. It's not a receiver. It's not a DB. These guys aren't rotational players. These guys play 60 to 70 snaps a game. I think Dallas has 74 snaps, somewhere around there. Let them stay in there. And to your point, Nate, either you put him at left tackle or you put him at right tackle. But either way, make a decision, stick with it, and then take the bumps and bruises as they come. But you cannot expect him to work his way back into it, playing 3, 4, 5 snaps at a time. And then, oh, by the way, Peters, here you go. You come in now.
It's a talking point from this past week. It will be a talking point this week and probably for the final couple weeks of the regular season as well, because it has not worked out yet. Maybe that offensive line can find some rhythm throughout practice here in Week 16. But when we come back, we talk about the pass rush that is all of a sudden gone from one of the highest rated sack leaders in the NFL to 2 straight weeks in 1 combined sack. When we come back here on Cowboys OT. On a team and a defense that leads the NFL in sacks per pass attempt, the Dallas Cowboys have now gone 2 weeks with a combined 1 sack. That 1 sack came from Micah Parsons. Here's what he had to say following the loss to Jacksonville.
So.
What's the emotion after this one?
Man, it's tough. I mean, man, it's bitter, but you know, you got to suck it up. I mean, we got to finish the season strong. Obviously not, you know, the game we want to lose or how we want to lose, but you know, this is a bitter one. But we got to come out next week and finish these last couple games strong.
34 points. I think it's the most you guys have given up all season. What exactly went wrong there in the second half?
I mean, I gotta go look at it. You know, we can't point the blame. I mean, it's an everybody thing. It's 11 people out there, so obviously we gotta do something different and go get better from it. That one's, you know, everything can't be perfect. Everything can't be, but you strive for that type of execution. And giving up 34 is not execution, so we got to get better.
1 sack in the last 2 games, I think, as a team. I mean, versus you guys are leading the league prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
What are offensive lines doing something different in pass pro against y'all that's causing them?
I mean, like I said, we're not getting traditional looks. Obviously, way more chips. Balls coming out way faster. There's not a lot of drop back, more play action. You know, boot passes that's being thrown on. If they are, they're quicker passes. So obviously, it's a lot more quick game against us than if you were to look at any other game where there's more drop back, more things like that. So I mean, it's tough, but I mean, if you look at the film, we're getting different game plans. So we got to expect that and change our game plan.
Run defense, you guys have shown some improvement there in recent games. What would you make of what seemed to be a step back today?
We got to get back to the basics. We can't afford to get complacent this time of year. We got to come out and own our gaps, do everything we need to do right, and tackle better. We got to tackle. A lot of missed tackles. But one thing about it, is, you know, I'm not the type to come up here and make no excuses. I just say we just got to get better. You know, no excuse mentality. We got to fix our F-ups and, you know, just go from there.
How does Leighton in the first drive? What does he mean to this defense, to you personally?
Yeah, Leighton means a lot to me, and obviously the team. Leighton, he's an energy builder. I mean, he's a hard. He goes after the ball. He's hard. Plays hard. He plays one of the hardest. He's one of the hardest guys I've ever played with in my life. I mean, you know, his energy, his effort is all contagious. So hopefully we can get Leighton back real soon. I know he's all good, and I can't wait to see him ball out next week.
What do you think the key is to getting to that spot where you want to be before the playoffs or these next weeks?
We got to learn from these mistakes, and then we got to not repeat the same mistakes and play clean football, complimentary football. We got to do better. We got to get off the field, and we can't afford to give up the explosive plays.
Are there any positives to take from all these close games you guys are going through happening in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the film, there's good things that we take from the games and things that, you know, we did really good at. Then there's things that we look at and we're like, we need to do better at that. We need to get better. And those parts where we got to get better, and the part that we're good at, we need to get better at, and the part that we're doing better at, we need to get really, really better at. So there's nothing like, when you look at the film, it's not like, oh my God, like we're terrible. We just, you know, they always say that it's a game of inches. And every inch we give up, that's closer, we are to our losing mark. So we got to clean up them inches.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's quite the pressure for this pass rush to get pressure going into that matchup against Philadelphia in Week 16, because 1 sack over the last 2 weeks probably not going to get the job done for a team that really relies on that front seven to get to the quarterback. When we come back, we hear about CeeDee Lamb. He had a big day, one of the few bright spots for the Cowboys, but they do fall short to Jacksonville. We'll be back with more Cowboys OT after this. Thanks to over 100 yards receiving for the third time this year, CeeDee Lamb became the 8th receiver in the NFL to hit 1,000 yards. Here's his thoughts following the loss to Jacksonville.
Upset. One late period. We felt like we should have won a game. We didn't. That's how it goes. No, we just lost. Should have put it off in the overtime. I mean, we had the opportunity. We just didn't capitalize.
Can you hold on to this feeling and use it in a productive way to make difference?
I mean, I guess you can say that. At the end of the day, like I said, we got to take every week, serious. It's December football. Everybody's going to give us their best shot, and we know that. And we got to capitalize. I can't hear you. Need help. For what? No, I don't think we need help. We're going to do what we got to do as a team and as an organization to contribute to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We never going to just look for someone else to help us out or help them out.
27-10, where you were in the second half, is this one of the more surprising outcomes for you this season based on where you were and how the game was going?
Where I was or the team?
Where the team was.
Yeah, most def. Unfortunately, we lost the lead and we lost the game. So, like I said, I feel like we gotta just be more consistent. Just put the game away when we have the opportunity and not really let the opposing team get the benefit of the doubt or any type of momentum. Because obviously we know how big momentum is in the NFL, and then with momentum you lose time. So.
On a day where Dak has
I mean, obviously that's not how it's supposed to go. But the guy just made a great play, I guess. I felt like we could have capitalized on the play. Just in general, we could have played better. Overall, we had a great offensive day, great defensive day, if you will. But we just gotta put a couple pieces together.
So you can catch the entire interview with CeeDee Lamb on DallasCowboys.com. When we come back here on Cowboys OT, Barry, Nate, and Isaiah rejoin the desk, and we'll wrap things up, look ahead to the Christmas Eve matchup with Philadelphia.
The Cowboys OT was brought to you by Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
Well, we don't really have a nice, pretty Christmas bow to wrap this one up with. Instead, we're going to throw that into the rearview mirror. We're going to throw it behind us. 40-34 are the final scores. The Cowboys go on the road and fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars in OT. Welcome in to OT as we wrap things up from the Star in Frisco. Barry Church, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback. Unfortunately, we can throw it in the rearview mirror, but it still results in a loss, and it'll stay there moving forward. Because of that, the hopes for an NFC East crown all but dashed. The Cowboys would have to win out, including next week against Philadelphia on Christmas Eve, and Philadelphia would have to lose out. How do they really salvage these final 3 games of the regular season and get ready for playoff playoff play?
Well, you got to get back into the lab. All right, I'm sure this coaching staff will go over it when they get back on Monday, and they'll break everything down as far as what the Cowboys did right and what the Cowboys did wrong. But defensively, I think you still have to get back to getting after the quarterback. I don't know what has happened these past couple weeks, but quarterbacks have had time back there, especially last week against Houston. That 2-quarterback system really kind of confused the Cowboys, and then this week, Trevor Lawrence was able to pick them apart back there. So they've got to figure out a way to get back after the quarterback. Offensively, stick to the ground game. I know it didn't get you there today, but I'm telling you, if you continue to stick with that ground game and use Dak as a play-action quarterback, it'll only prove dividends later on in the season.
Isaiah's been talking about it all day long. No turnovers. You got to play almost a perfect game, especially coming up this week. You got to be strong, you got to be physical, and you got to be mean because they got a front seven over there for the Eagles that don't play. So you just got to get back to the drawing board and be who you need to be, a physical team.
And I'm going to say, stop talking about the playoffs. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys are not in the playoffs. You're about to play 3 opponents that are serious about playing some ball. The Philadelphia Eagles, balling. You got the Titans, balling. And then obviously you have the Washington team. Those guys are going to be trying to figure things out, too, with a big game tonight against the Giants. Listen up. You need to take it week by week. Stop looking ahead and stop looking in the rear view. That's done. Don't look forward because that's too far. Think about the right now. Take care of that, and you might have a chance to get in there and start talking about the playoffs.
And hopefully they learn that lesson today because, like you said, the Cowboys not in the playoffs just yet. Really good shot they could still wrap it up as early as next week or even as early as tonight. If Washington loses in the Sunday Night Football matchup against the New York Giants, the Cowboys will, of course, clinch a playoff spot despite their loss in Jacksonville. But that's not what people are worried about. They're trying to play better going into the playoffs and trying to make a deep run this postseason. But that does it for us here on Cowboys OT. If you're a Cowboys fan heading out to AT&T Stadium for the Christmas Eve matchup, this crew will be out there for pregame and postgame coverage. But that does it for this week. The Cowboys fall to Jacksonville.